Hey, what's up guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another Tuesday video for Legendary Game of Heroes, and today I'm going to be doing a stream. Haven't done it in a couple of weeks, and mostly just because I haven't had the opportunity to be able to do this at a consistent time. So this is about the time that I'm usually able to get on now that I'm able to be free of all the other responsibilities I have. And I know that it's a little bit tougher for a lot of the viewers. This time isn't exactly good for a lot of the Eastern, East Coast people. And so hopefully we'll get some people on. And if not, at least we'll try and keep this short enough so that people can watch it after fact. So thanks for joining me, guys. And thanks for sticking around. And let's take a look at this event. And Mohammed, thanks for joining me here. Thanks for watching, and thanks for joining me stream. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the following. What we're going to do is we're going to do the usual. We're going to open a couple of tiers. This time I'll be able to do 3 tiers. And then I'm going to take a look at the cards. And I've also changed the title of my videos now a little bit. It used to just say event preview, but I realized I'm not really previewing the event. I'm really just looking at the cards here and giving a little bit of my reactions here. So I thought I would rename it appropriately because that's exactly what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to try our luck, do three tiers, and we'll talk about the cards and also what cards they could go well with and what options you could have for this particular event. So we've got Wesam, Mad Mouse, and Robert joining the stream as well. Thanks for joining us on the stream, and let's get started. Okay, so tier 1. So I'll be able to get 3 tiers, and the past few events, I actually say past few seasons now, it's been pretty rough. I would say that the times I'm able to get to tier 4 even, I haven't been able to get anything good out of it. So like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, I can understand. But up to tier 4, typically, sometimes I've been able to get a full team one time, I think within 4 tiers, or maybe even 3. But the last few seasons now, a couple seasons, at least 2, so like a little over 2 months, that's been a little bit of rough. I haven't actually gotten any so far. So hoping for the best, keeping your fingers crossed. And Queen Mama, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining me here. Let's go ahead and open up tier 2. Now, for those of you who might have already gotten the team, feel free to let me know too what your thoughts are. I've been looking at this team. I've been reviewing the chatter around it just to sort of see what people are thinking about it, and I'll definitely give my take on it also. But without the actual team, it's going to be really hard to be able to showcase and talk about the mechanics really well. So this is one of those decks where I wish I could. I wish I could get something so I can show you, but if I don't get it, then we're just gonna have to make do. All right, so that was tier 2. Got the support card, and let's go ahead and open up our third and final tier for us, and we'll see what we get here. And Oliver, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining me here. Let's take a look. So we get a gold card, and that is going to be the relic. Skyborn Assault. I actually can't really tell exactly what... Is that a drone, maybe? Couldn't really tell exactly what that could be. But it says it's a Skyborn Assault, so I'm assuming it might have been some sort of like a drone made of like scrap parts. Anyway, so that was going to be... That's going to be our third tier. Just a guarantee card, which is the relic. And so my streak continues with just this really horrible luck of getting nothing but the guaranteed rewards, and even the ones from the silver like the non vault rewards. Like I couldn't get an extra support card, which would have been nice actually for this event. Just nothing. Like it has been really bad, and so the only thing I can show you is the support card for this event if I were to play at all. So I guess I could just talk about it, right? So let's do that. We can at least talk about it, and I'm choosing not to actually craft right now, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save all of my coins for the Fire Commander event. I have a much better Fire Commander team, and so I'm going to save it for that. But we will talk about this deck here. So this is going to be a 4-turn deck for the most part, which is interesting and not as common anymore for Slayer events. So we'll start with an ultimate form. This is called the Track Masters. It is a chaotic killer skill. So we will take a look at the cards that you could use instead of that as well. So this is Track Masters, and the battle skill is, I think it's decent, right? So it creates 8 Power Gem 6s, all right? So right off the bat, gives you 8 Power Gem 6s. You get an 80% attack increase, which in Slayer events with their Slayer boost, it's not a huge amount, but it's more effective in Slayer events than it is in Commander events. Okay, so and this is like sort of like a normal amount now. They've sort of normalized it to sort of say the attack boost they're going to be giving you is typically around like 80, give or take 10 or 20%. And so that's like a very common, sort of like a common amount. Okay, now this will go for 4 turns, and the reason for that is because it's a 4-turn cooldown card. But you do get immunity for 1 turn. Now, typically, when you get cards that give you immunity, a lot of the older cards, you have a 7-turn cooldown. Some of the really good ones that you can't get anymore, you have a 1-turn cooldown. But there are a couple of cards that have a 3-turn cooldown, most notably the High Performance Unit Area. So that's 3-turn cooldown with 1-turn immunity. This one gives you 1-turn immunity with 4-turn cooldown. So it's not horrible, right? And I think that the immunity actually is a really good thing that allows you to at least field a full team that gives you full immunity. Okay, so you have 4 cards, you'll be able to get full immunity throughout your entire match. And so that is something to think about. And now we take a look at the support, we'll take a look at the other cards, and I'm going to talk about like how this all pieces together. Now we take a look at this passive ability for this card. You start with 6 Power Gem 6s at the beginning of the battle. Okay, so it's very important to remember that when they say beginning of the battle, if you're in a wave fight, like a guild versus guild fight, for example, that whole thing, even if you fight 5 bosses, that's 1 battle. It's 1 battle with 5 waves. So waves are different. And so what this card does is on your very, very first boss, you'll create 6 Power Gems, 6s, and that's it. No more after that. No more passively creating from this ability. All right, so just something to keep in mind. Some people I think have gotten confused with it, but you just have to make sure that you remember it's not per wave, it's per battle. The other passive ability here is when this card attacks, it will grant a bonus attack, which basically deals 50% of whatever you dealt. Okay, so let's say you dealt 10 trillion to the boss for that particular card. At the end of the turn, it's going to deal 5 trillion more. Okay, so whatever damage you deal to the card, you're going to deal another 50% afterwards. And on top of that, it creates 6 Power Gem 6s. So every attack, you're going to get Power Gem 6s. So as far as, Power Gem spawn ability goes, this deck is pretty decent. It has a 4-turn cooldown, but mostly you're really just, hoping for the additional 8 Power Gem 6s and for the immunity within those 4 turns. So you're not going to be really impacted by the Gem spawn ability. Mostly this is just going to be for the immunity. But with 4-turn cooldown and immunity, I think that's a reasonable trade-off. It also has a passive ability for haste. That just means you will start the match with your with your battle skills already filled out. This is very useful if you don't have relics that you can use at the beginning of the fight to fill up your gauge. And so haste is actually a really, really good ability because now you can use other relics in there that can still give you a boost and whatever you need, but you don't need to put in light relic that breaks a shield to make this work. So if you have this team but you don't have the relics, this makes up for it. All right, now let's take a look at the Junkyard Express, which is the Master Collection card. So this card will give you 8 Power Gem 6s, and you can become immune to attacks for 1 turn. And so what this gives you now is Master Collection card plus Ultimate Form. You now have immunity for 2 turns out of the 4. All right, and then you also get 6 Power Gems again at the beginning of the battle rather than at the beginning of every turn. It does also have a passive ability for haste, and so this one is going to be a little bit interesting because now what you want to do is you don't want to double up on your immunity. Okay, so this is the one thing I will say. Unlike turn delay, immunity cards you don't get additional immunity. like if you activate all in one turn, you don't get more than one turn of immunity afterwards. Like they don't stack. And so what ends up happening is you end up wasting your immunity. So you have to activate these cards separately if you want to make it so you're immune every single turn. You're going to have to activate your Junkyard Express and your what's this called again? Track Masters, different turns. Okay, same thing as if you have multiple copies of the Master Collection card, you're going to want to activate them once per turn. And needless to say, if you have the Ultimate Form and 3 Master Collection cards, you're going to get immunity every single turn. So that's going to be very important. You're going to get immunity every single turn. Now think about this in Guild versus Guild situation. You can't die anymore. Okay, so that is something to think about. Now let's talk about the ultra rare card. So this is the ultra rare card, Sidecar Annie. So Sidecar Annie will increase the Light Slayer attack by 80% for 4 turns. And this battle, that's it for the battle skill. You just get the attack increase. But the passive ability of this card will generate 6 Power Gem 6s every time you attack, and it will nuke for another 50%. So now, if we sort of like build up this team with, you know, what we just talked about, 1 ultra rare card, 3 Magic Collection card, and 1 ultra rare card, well, what you get here is you're going to get the 6 Power Gems from the Ultimate Form and ultra rare card, so it's 12. And then if you activate 1 card, because you want to stagger all of them, you're going to get 8, and then you're going to get the 12 from the previous attack. So a total of 20, and then they made Gem Crush here and there. So the question is going to be whether or not this is going to deal enough damage for you to actually take down your opponents if they use a dark team, if you want to use it in Guild vs. Guild. My initial thinking is that this may not be sufficient enough, although you will never die. But you'll never be able to take down a high-level Guild vs. Guild opponent. So the ideal isn't going to be to get 3 Master Collection cards and make sure that you never get hit, but rather to be able to use the immunity when you need it, but to get sufficient power boost and all of the other cards along with it, so that you can get enough damage to take down the opponent. As it is, this team, from what I see right now, using a full team to get full immunity, you're not going to have enough damage output as is. The 80% attack boost is okay. It's not going to give you too much. And so if you're getting this for, you know, Guild versus Guild fights because of the immunity, I think you're going to get some benefit, but you'll still need to pair it with other cards in order to take full advantage. Luciano, thank you for joining me here, and thanks for the comment. Now let's take a look at the support card and the event card, because I actually think the support card is pretty interesting this time. So Annie and Sparkplug. So Annie and Sparkplug is the support card, and you see that it creates 10 light gems, and it has a 1 turn cooldown. So every turn you'll be able to activate, and you can spawn gems here, and it has this passive ability where at the start of each turn, it'll charge the battle skills of all your Light Slayer heroes by 50%. And so essentially what this means is if you have 2 support cards and in your team, you're going to be able to fully charge your battle skill every single turn. Again, this is going to matter when you're in a situation where some of your Light Slayer cards, like you might not have like the relics, you might not have the cards to charge it every single turn, but you'll be able to do so with the fact that you can create 10 gems per card, and you can guarantee that you'll be able to activate these cards every single turn. Okay. Now, eventually, there may be a card that comes out, a light card, a Slayer card, that it has a 1 turn cooldown that can also like deal nuke damage or do something very, very useful, and you may not be able to charge it for a turn. Having these 2 cards in there will automatically help you, or have 1 card in there and then you just have to charge, you just have to like match like 3 or 4 gems, and then you'll be good to go. And so I think this is, it can be very helpful in a lot of situations. At least it's very different. We haven't seen this in a very long time. The last time we saw this was with the deck with Dorothy and basically the Wizard of Oz deck. That was the last time we saw something like that. But I think that this is something that is worth exploring. I like to see them doing more with these support cards, more capabilities that make them more viable. Now let's take a look at the event card here, Baron von Speed. So this card gives you 4 light power gem 4s at the beginning of the battle. Okay, so at the very beginning, you'll start with 4 power gems, and then the battle skill gives you 8 power gem 4s. 4-turn cooldown for this particular card though, so it's a little bit. This one it's gonna feel very slow because this one doesn't have anything else. Like, you don't have any other passive ability. It doesn't give you gen spawns in between. It doesn't have a low 1-turn cooldown. You don't get immunity or anything like that. And so this card on its own, I would have to say, to be very perfectly honest, this card will probably not get a lot of use just because it is so slow in comparison. There's no other benefits to this card. Yes, 8 power gen 4s is a good number of power gens, but it's power gen 4s, which in today's meta really pales in comparison to even just power gen 5s. Like, if you had, like, fewer power gems, but they're 1 grade higher, I think that would have been even better. It does have haste, so you're guaranteed to be able to activate the card. Okay, so we talked about the cards here. I can't really show you anything because I just have the one support card from this pull. So let's talk about what are some of the potential deck combinations. Okay, first things first. If we take a look at I guess what I should do is also talk about what they dispel. I think this is going to be important. So Master Collection card, Junk Card Express, is going to dispel fear. So what we can see is there's going to be fear. There's also going to be where is it? It's also going to be Alacrity. So Alacrity will dispel turn delays. So if you have turn delays, you will not be able to activate them. And then the support card is going to dispel Power Gem Silence. Now I took a look at the Light Slayer cards that dispel Power Gem Silence. There's not a lot, okay? So if you take a look at my codex, and if we take a look at Light Slayer cards that actually dispel Power Gem Silence, you'll see that there is only the Assault Unit Yuju, which is the support card, and then Annie and Sparkplug, which is, well, that's what I have from this event. So if you don't have the Assault Unit Yuju, you're going to have to depend on other cards that give you like a cleanse on attack or a cleanse on activation, but not a natural dispel from the card itself. So so the support card is still going to be useful just for the Power Gem dispel here. Now let's take a look at the cards that we could potentially build up. Like I said, first thing, we will take a look at the chaotic cards, and I don't have it from the previous event, and so if you don't have that one but you have Relentless Scholars, this is going to be an option. Now this card is older, right? It doesn't have a lot of power gen spawn, but it does have a nuke damage. Again, this one is going to nuke for 1.5 times whatever damage you deal. So this one is, if you deal 100 trillion, it'll nuke for 150 the next turn. Not quite as big as, Hard Won Gorillas or as like Freedom Fighters with their 5-time nuke, but this one can still be useful. So this one, I have this at two pink stars, so it's going to give me additional 600% boost, so better than nothing, right? And if you have the previous one, we'll take a look at that in the Proving Grounds. This one is going to be, let's go to the store, and we will take a look at this one. I can't remember the name of the ultimate form because I never had it. So this one is going to be called, I guess I don't even have an option to see the ultimate form, but it's going to be the one that uses a Radiant Saturnatus, and that's the Master Collection card, and also Illuminated Evening Star, that is the ultra rare card. If you take a look at the skills here, this one is also going to have haste, and this one is going to increase the chaotic killer intensity pretty quickly. So this one is all about increasing the chaotic killer intensity, and then you can use cards that boost chaotic attack really well. And so people have used that particular deck with Sirens, for example. But we're not going to really do that. I think that is a little bit tough to balance between water gems and light gems and all that. So we'll just kind of go simple, right? So if we were to build up a team right now, this is what I would be building, right? So like, you're gonna want to have something with a killer skill if you have it. So either Relentless Scholars or the other one that we just talked about. Can't remember the name, unfortunately. Okay, and then as far as Slayers go, like that's pretty much the options that you have there. The other ones are going to be from Commander. You can see I don't really even have them as much here. And then now let's take a look at Slayers. All right, let's take a look at let's take a look at the other light cards, like what options I could potentially go with. And for me, I did get lucky in a few events, so I can still use some, some ultimate forms. So if we focus on Slayer first, one of the ones that for sure you're going to want to go with is Supreme Elohim. Even though it got nerfed by quite a bit, it's still going to be useful just because many cards have sort of these attack boosts that is going to make this useful. And Silent Knight. Silent Knight is a really good card. It has a 1-turn cooldown. Okay, it creates a lot of Power Gem 6s, and it also increases your attack, although just by 20%. So like you're not really going to be depending on the attack boost, but the fact that it even boosts just a tiny bit is still going to make Supreme Elohim create additional Power Gems. Every time you do an attack boost or damage boost, you're going to create that. So Supreme Elohim and Silent Knights, they pair well. They pair very well together. If you take a look at the additional ability, you also get additional power gems whenever you activate other battle skills. So this is going to be a deck that's all about, power gem spawn and, a little bit of boost, but it's mostly about just getting more and more power gems if you can't get it. There's a little bit of a heal here. This one doesn't really help you with the dispels though. We have a Traitor and Panic, like nothing really helps here. So we're going to need to deal with power gem silence. In a way, we don't really have to worry about fear, and I'll tell you the reason why. Okay, so I suppose like with fear, you don't really have to worry about it if you can passively spawn enough power gems or enough gems to do Gem Crush. You can kind of overcome that pretty easily. But here we have Relentless Colors. It does dispel Alacrity, so we can at least use that. Although I don't really imagine Alacrity to be a problem because I'm not using turn delay cards. And then in terms of like other Slayer cards, this is where I would say I didn't really like Auspicious Guardians that much. I didn't think it's really that good of a card. This one will give you Power Gem 5s, okay? And it gives you more based on Beast Killer Intensity. It gives you a little bit of heal, and it does give you a damage reduction, all right? But it doesn't really do that much, except where it can be helpful here is the passive ability that will dispel one buff. And so the buffs that we have to deal with here is going to be fear. And so if you are finding yourself having issues with fear, like generally, like I don't normally use this card as much compared to some of the other options, but I find that if you are having a hard time with fear and you have this card, you could put in there because like when you attack, you dispel buff automatically. So you're going to not have to worry about fear at all ever in this particular event. Same thing with armor. Like you can dispel armor, you can dispel this, you can dispel dodge. Like all of those things are considered buffs. So you'll be able to dispel that. So that's an option. Another card that a lot of people used to use a lot is Enlightened Yokai. So Enlightened Yokai was one of those cards that it's very old at this point, but a lot of people still really like it, and it still gives you a good number of power gems. This one is a 4-turn cooldown as well, okay? And it gives you 4 power gem 4s, but then it doubles depending on the amount of health you have. So you can go up to 8 power gem 4s. Kind of funny because I just mentioned that like 8 power gem 4s for the event card, it's kind of like it's really not as much anymore. So like from an event card perspective, it's the same, right? 8 power gem 4s for that card and also for Enlightened Yokai. But Enlightened Yokai, what it does give you is when you have healing, like if there's anything that heals, you get increased attack and also you create additional power gems. So this card still gives you a little bit more, more to work with. And also the relics from this event will heal you every 2 turns. So this is going to still be useful. But I think that my 5th card, I'm actually going to probably just sort of do my typical recipe and say bringing a card that can give you a upgrade. So Star Song Wolfpack will upgrade your light power gems by 2 ranks. So if you had like Gem Crush to like 8, this will then upgrade it to 10. that's going to help you significantly. Like for me, especially given that I only have 600% damage boost from my Relentless Scholars, throwing in a card that gives me 2 rank, like basically a 2 rank upgrade to my power gems, I think is going to help me a lot with my damage output. And so sort of building on my team, this is what it's going to look like. And then for the relics, I guess I can talk about building up relics here. We are dealing with chaotic killer here. So if I take a look at my chaotic killer, I don't have a lot. I don't have any ultimate forms here, right? So this one is commander, and I think this one is going to be. These are all commander. So I will not be able to actually spawn any. I will not be able to spawn any light gems here, and this is where, having the haste ability is going to be really useful, because you don't actually need to worry about, like, if I were playing with the card with the haste ability, then I would have basically done this. I would have said, okay, well, I basically can do something like this. I can just do all of this, right? So I am getting, boosts for my, this is commander, okay? So I'm getting boosts for my chaotic killer, and I am basically breaking all of the shields. But if I were to play this deck right now with these relics, I will not have any power gems or any gems in the beginning of the fight. So I'm going to have to work it up because I don't have haste in any of them. Let me just take a look, make sure that this is not chaotic. Yeah, this is noble, right? So this one will not give me, but then if you use the event deck and you have something like this, well, you actually will have haste ability. So you'll break all of your shields, activate activate all of your battle skill, and you'll be good. Another thing that I could do potentially, for example, let's say I don't have some of those cards, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in chaotic killer here. I could actually do this too. So let's say I don't have auspicious guardians. Again, I'm only putting in there for haste, not for haste, for fear. If I were to do something like this, now what happens is if I have my second support card, and if I need a second support card, what this will do is at the very, very beginning of the fight, let's just do this now. I'll show you what this looks like. I'm trying to sort of show you how it works, and I think it's best if I just play the campaign. So let's go ahead and let's do 18. And we're going to pick a card that isn't going to spawn anything in the beginning. I'm just going to just pick a warden or something, because I want to make sure I'm not going to accidentally spawn. Oh, here you go. So we're just going to use a wisp. Okay. And let's go ahead and play with the deck that we just built, which is right here. So we have the support card, and this is what's going to happen. So you can see that these are commander relics. Okay. So these are commander relics. I'm not going to get any gem spawn at all from these. Again, just confirm these are commander, but I'm going to be able to break the shields. Okay, so let's go ahead and play here. So what's going to happen is with one support card in here, I'm going to get 50% of my battle skills charged up. This is where if I had gotten my second support card from the poll, I could have at least shown you how this works together. But here you go. Okay, so let's take a look, because every single turn I should be, at the beginning of the turn, I have 50% of my battle skill charged up. Okay. And so you can see here, 50% charged up. Now, without this, I could have just simply done this anyway. But here's an example, right? I only hit 8. I only matched 8 gems. Because of my because of the fact that I charged up half of all of my light slayers, I can actually use their abilities. Now, my Starsong Wolfpack is a commander card, so you didn't get benefits there, okay? But at least I can do something like this, right? Now I can go ahead and activate all of these, and I can now activate this. So this is with a support card, with Starsong Wolfpack, I am able to get my power gem levels up to 12 and 11. All right, so this is without using Auspicious Defenders. Yeah, I think it's Auspicious Defenders. No, I think it's another name. I think Auspicious Defenders is the water card. Anyways, I can't remember the one I just took out. But you can see the power gems, pretty good. Okay. Now, if I didn't have Starsong Wolfpack, then I could also say, like, well, just put in my just put in 2 support cards with my relic situation, and I'll be able to charge up this every single turn. Okay, and so here you go. Like I can activate this every turn. I can activate my Silent Knight every single turn, and so at least this is something that I can use. Okay, and Starsong Woolpack is 2 turn cooldown, so I think that's a really good card. And you can see here I can go ahead and use this every single turn, and I can do Gem Crush. Scholars is also a 2 turn cooldown card, and Supreme Elohim will passively spawn Power Gems for me. Okay, and so this is actually a really decent deck right here. And you can see, like, for me, I didn't have the relics. I didn't use a single relic that would have spawned gems at the beginning, but I think, you know, just that would have been okay because I can still go on the second turn. So with this particular setup, I can't do turn 1 damage necessarily with my relic setup, but I could do turn 2, and I think it looks like it'll be reasonable. I'm getting 600% damage boost, and I have gem upgrades, and I have nuke as well. So I think I might actually do okay. So the thing I want to then talk about is like, well, do you really need the event cards? Okay, do you really need the event deck to be successful in this event? And it's going to be hard for me to say because I haven't really tried it out, and without seeing, you know, just without seeing it in action, it's going to be hard for me to say that, oh yes, this is going to be super strong. My thinking is that I think that there is, you know, the immunity. You'll probably see that used a lot. It'll be very helpful in guild versus guild fights. I think that just I actually really like the fact that it has like these. The ultra rare card, for example, creates a lot of 6 Power Gen 6s on every attack. I think that is a mechanic that is really, really helpful and really useful. So if you have more cards that do that, then it will ensure that you can activate, like, you know, all the time. 4 turn cooldown though makes it a little bit tough, right? Because like even if you get all of your battle skills ready, you can't use it for 4 turns, right? And so so this is not the deck that screams to me like, oh, this is more of a supporting deck as opposed to main damage dealer deck. To me, is how it feels. So like I think that the ultimate form will be useful in the future as a supporting role, but this deck on its own is probably not going to deal sufficient damage without some other factors. Like you're gonna have to do something to upgrade your gems. You're gonna have to do something to boost your chaotic killer. You're gonna have to do something. Okay. Now there is a trick that people have talked about using shields to sort of get your damage even higher without a lot of the boost. But I think really what it comes down to is it still comes down to having sufficient boost in the first place in order to get the really high damage. And I think that this deck, to me anyways, feels like it lacks that. Okay, just from looking at the battle skills, I think it has good power gem spawn abilities. I think it's useful. You can use it every single turn, but I think it's going to be many turns of smaller damage instead of 1 turn of big damage. Okay, and so let's see. People have been helping me out in the chat. So we've got Astro Anomaly is the name of the ultimate form that I was talking about in the Proving Ground store. Thank you so much for that. That is exactly what I was looking for. And then Auspicious Guardians is the other one that I couldn't remember. All right, so that's one option, right? And you know that I typically say that commander cards are not a great option in Slayer events because you're missing out on the Slayer boost, which is huge, okay? Like even a regular support card for the event has a 10 times Slayer damage that the support card is lacking. So like they are definitely, you're going to be missing out on a lot. And then I have Starborn Sentinels, which I ranked as a really high ultimate form a long time ago. I wouldn't go with that route, honestly. To be honest, like if you have no other options, then maybe. But I still think that going with the Slayer deck is going to be a better option for you. Now, if you have Water Commander, Chaotic Killer, oops, I took the wrong one. Then one of the cards that you could consider putting in here is going to be Headstrong Sirens. Headstrong Sirens gives you this ability to increase Chaotic Killer cards damage by 1600%. But you need to have at least 16 or more water gems on the board. And so what you need to do is you need to have cards that can spawn power 8. I think Strong Siren spawns Pet Strong Siren spawns 8. Yeah. No, it destroys 8 and it doesn't actually create anymore. So you need something that will passively create gems for you, or you need to do something that creates the water gems for you. And so you're going to have to at least another card that can do something. Something that comes top of my mind is potentially like Lost Kingdom Guardians. You can just use that, create a bunch of gems on the board, use Headstrong Sirens to power up your Chaotic Killer, and then basically boost up all your Chaotic cards. So a lot of people who have Chaotic Killer decks will probably consider using Headstrong Sirens as an option, although it's just that you're going to have to deal with the whole like overriding power gems and making sure that you can actually spawn enough in the first place. So there are going to be some tricks around it, but that is also something that you might want to look into to help you get that damage boost. Now let's take a look at the chat here. So we've got people asking questions also. So first, following again, thanks for also the help there. We got Rocky Miller from UAE. Welcome to the stream here. Let's see. Questions? Any question? Okay, so Eric Taylor, you've got enough coins to craft this deck. Would it be better to wait for the next event to use them instead of on this deck? My recommendation as of right now is I would probably wait, to be honest with you, until the event starts at the very minimum. And the reason I say that is because I don't know how many people are going to be running this deck as opposed to like some of the previous decks to do well. Because from what I remember when the Astral Anomalies was introduced, they were doing insane amount of damage because they were pairing that with Sirens, because what happens is you're getting the Astral Anomaly cards boosting all of the Chaotic Killer intensity, and Headstrong Sirens is taking all of the intensity and converting that into attack boost. Okay, and so there's definitely, I know that worked. I know that a lot of people use that combination, and so if you are able to, for example, use your Proving Ground store coins to get this deck, for example, and then you have Headstrong Sirens, or you have the ultra rare card version of that, you could potentially do really well without actually getting the event deck. And I would say, like, if you have the support card, you can also help, boost up. You can even use the support card to help you, get your battle skills ready. So you can put more water relics in there, and you can put more water cards in there to help you get all the boost. But I remember from a year ago that this worked really well. Okay, and so if you have those cards already, I would recommend you trying them first, especially if you didn't get lucky in the vault. Like, this is like if you don't get lucky and you're kind of asking whether or not you should use the coin. I would say wait for it, because usually within a day, people will start posting, damage pictures with the teams that they're using. This is not a deck that I see where people are going to say, oh, with this particular deck, they're going to get a ton of damage. They're really using the Ultimate Form as the card that gives you the killer intent, sort of like the killer skill, and then all the other cards that give them the amount of damage that they have. And so if you have Astral Anomalies, you already have the same amount of damage, killer skill, and so you may be able to get about the same amount of damage output. Okay, so that's just kind of where I'm at right now. And so Eric Taylor, if you do already have Astral Anomalies, my recommendation is to just hold off for a day, wait to see how the event goes with your cards, and then take a look at my channel. There's a lot of people that would try out different teams with the event team as well, and then then you'll be able to sort of use that as a reference to see what kind of teams are being built here. And what I can try and do is, I know I say this all the time and I don't get around to doing this, but what I could try and do is talk about what other people are doing. right? What other people are doing with their cards, what other options that they're using for the decks. But my initial impression is that you might not absolutely need this deck to be successful. Although I do think that this particular deck, if you do get it, you'll see some use for sure. Right, you'll definitely see use. You're going to find like, oh, it's so much easier to get all of your battle skills ready just because so many spawns of the power gems, and like, you know, you're always creating power gems, and so you're definitely going to get some some help there, but without it, I think you should still do okay. And so you pull 3 tiers, you got 3 supports and 1 relic. Well, you got 2 more support cards than I did. If you saw what I got here. 1 support and 1 relic in 3 tiers is what I got. And so unfortunately that's just not a good pull for me. And so rock for life, this is perfect time for you in Scandinavia. Yeah, I suppose, like, you know, in the European time zone, this time works out. So glad to see that I'm able to get some people to join me for the stream anyway. I stopped streaming for a few weeks because I couldn't do it at the normal time, and I feel like I kind of just needed a little bit of change of pace for myself. And so I'm glad that you guys are joining me. Hopefully this is still useful for you all. So I'm going to probably end it here as well, given like I've sort of, you know, said what I needed to say. So take a look at your previous light decks as well. This is an event where I think, you know, check it out, see maybe you can make something useful. And I would say save your coins, because I had this, I don't know, I am wondering if the fire commander event that's coming up next, I'm wondering if it's going to be a very like beastly deck, okay? Because it's also going to be the event that is going to pair up with, I'll show you. It's also going to be the event where you're going to have I guess this it was the previous one I was thinking about, but basically United Taurus, I think this is where you get the nuke, right? But fire commander events have been pretty strong as of late for the last few commander events. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with, and I'm like I said, I'm looking to build a really strong fire deck since I'm sort of fully free to play at this point. But if you are looking for, you know, the thing about Slayers is you kind of have to be able to take down bosses in order to score well. So if you're looking to do really, really well, then take a look. I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of combinations without the event deck that will do well, especially if you already have Silent Knight and Supreme Elham. I think that's going to already help you out. Plus Star Song Wolfpack. I think these 3 are really what's going to help you do better damage, even without the event deck. So I'm going to try this combination I have, and I will see what I get. And then I'll make a recommendation after that. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks a lot for joining me for the stream, guys. Comment down below and let me know what else you'd like to see. You know, what other information you'd like to you know, for me to talk about. What other topics you're interested in, so I can you know, I can think about other content to create here in between the event previews. All right. So that is going to be it for me. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Have a good event tomorrow, and I will pay attention to what people are doing, and then I will try and provide this information to you all as well. All right. Take care, guys.